Hello everyone, this is part 4 of What If Naruto Had a Hug That Changed Everything, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. In a dazzling display of prowess, Kyuubi burst out of the crevasse, high into the air, blotting out the sun with his massive ness. Plummeting to the ground without even batting an eye, the massive demon fox landed on the ground with an earth-crumbling thud, landing on all fours. Breathing heavily, while expelling clouds of burning hot, steamy breath, Kyuubi began to frantically sniff his surrounding and growling. Nraagh. I completely lost his trail, the demon raged on, before lifting his head skyward. OOOORROCHIIIIIII. The Demon King's thundering voice roared throughout the land. Birds retreated, animals scurried away, mountains crumbled, the very ground itself trembled at the ferocity of Kyuubi's howls. All who were near could hear the roar, all who heard the roar trembled with fear. The people of the Fire Country knew of Kyuubi's wrath from long ago, and hearing that same air-crackling voice brought feelings of helpless nostalgia and immeasurable fear at what would befall the land. None more so than Konoha. Every single living soul halted everything that they may have been doing at the distant, but clearly notable voice from afar. The village grew silent, like a chill of fear choked the very breathing of all who lived within its confines. That voice, that terrible voice that roared the exact same words, before Konoha was attacked 12 years ago. A wicked omen, indeed. All of the adults who have survived that horrible transaction trembled at the monstrous voice. Within seconds, small remnants of screams had begun to surface throughout the village. Eventually, the screams grew louder and more frantic. At the Ninja Academy, Iruka's class was completely disturbed by what they had all heard. Especially Iruka himself. Dropping his calendar to the floor, because of the numbness that engulfed his hands, the Chunin trembled wildly, as Deathslay memories of Kyuubi's attack on Konoha surged through his mind with full, unadulterated force. The confused students, who had also heard the crackling roar, all turned their attention to their sensei in search of answers, but held their tongues when they saw the horror-stricken expression on his face. Well, most of them did, at least. Iruka-sensei. What was that, just now? It sounded like somebody was really pissed, the young and highly annoying voice of Konohamaru called out, snapping Iruka out of his fear-ridden daze. Once snapped out of his trance, however, Iruka was instantly horrified again when he saw all of the innocent students before him. They were all so young, they had absolutely no knowledge of Kyuubi, because none of them existed when he attacked. Things were supposed to stay that way. What could have possibly went wrong? It can't be. No. Not again, Iruka inwardly grimaced, at the very thought of the horrendous fate that would indeed befall Konoha. The Tan Chunin had every reason to be streeting in his pant, right now. The Yondaime is Kyuubi has apparently returned, and Konoha is completely unprepared for another attack by the Demon Fox. Things were already starting to look very bleak, and Iruka's sweating of bullets was a definite sign of that. Measures had to be taken. Iruka cleared his tea in an attempt to recompose himself as best he could. All right class, listen up, Iruka called out, gaining the attention of all of the students. You're all going to be dismissed early today. The entire class started cheering. How predictable. However, none of you are to return to your homes. You will all follow me, Iruka ordered, gaining complaints and things of that nature from the students. Iruka knew full damn well that he couldn't rise a panic out of any of his students. The best he could do was hope for little resistance and a lot of much-needed compliance. Well, it was a good thing that Iruka wasn't dealing with little hard asses, otherwise things would have been difficult. But the students willingly complied. After all, they're getting out of class early, so what the F did they have to complain about? Rising from their seats, the students walked next to the entrance, awaiting further orders. Single file everyone, Iruka said as he forced a smile upon his face. I must warn Lord Hokage. Meanwhile, at the forested training grounds of Konoha, Asuma Sarutobi, no, not the third Hokage, and Kurenai Yuhi immediately halted their intense training after hearing the demonic roar, a roar that was more than just a little familiar. Kurenai, did you hear that? Asuma asked, while biting hard upon his ever-present cigarette and sweating bullets. How could I not? Kurenai fearfully responded, before gulping hard to extinguish the lump that formed in her tea. Asuma instinctively reached in his shinobi vest and pulled out his handy communication device, hooked it up to his ear and pressed the button located on the earpiece itself. The message had to be sent. At the Haruno household, which ain't so destroyed no more, Sakura and Ino had halted the last remains of their slave-driven cleaning when they, too, heard the thunderous roar. The two females shot a quick glance toward each other before running to a nearby window to see what the hell was going on. When they saw that everything seemed to be intact, confusion sprung in the air. It was a mystery to Ino, of course, but two certain pink-haired females were trembling with fear and worry. Mrs. Haruno's eyes widened with fright, before she slowly shifted her vision toward her daughters, filled with the greatest concern she had ever felt, since. No, she thought, while feeling as though her heart was climbing to her tea. Memories of that horrendous event 12 years ago resurfaced into Mrs. Haruno's mind. The horror, the screams, the boss, the blood. Every vivid detail of what transpired all those years ago had, now, choked the pink-haired mother with fear. Fear for her young. She had already lost her brave Junin husband to Kyuubi's wrath, but to lose all that she had now, was simply unthinkable. Sakura had similar feeling. Although her mother was still pregnant with her when Kyuubi attacked, Sakura vividly remembered all of the things that her mother had told her about what had befallen their village over a decade ago. To this very day, Sakura didn't fully understand why her mother had told her something that was illegal. Sakura hadn't even known that it was illegal until her mother had told her. Flashback out of. 9-year-old Sakura and her mother were quietly eating dinner at the dining room table. At that time around, Sakura was quite the eater, despite her peak frame. This time, however, the pink-haired youngling was eating notably slow. Things have been on her mind ever since her second year at the Ninja Academy, the main component being boys. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sakura has been a certain emo prick named Sasuke Uchiha and that there shouldn't be an S in the word boy when talking about something like that. However, that is not the case. The number one component of things that were on young Sakura's mind were, in fact, boys. Hey, Mom. Young Sakura called. Mrs. Haruno kindly responded. Sakura pressed her fingers together nervously. What can you tell me about boys? She asked hesitantly. Mrs. Haruno stopped eating for a moment and smiled at her youngling with pride and happiness. Ooh, my little Sakura's got a crush, she teased. Sakura blushed deeply. Well, sorta. Ya see, there's this boy I like and he's really cute. But I don't know how I can even get him to notice me, because he seems so distant. He's the most popular guy at the academy and I think that I might have to fend off all of the other girls with sticks to keep them away from him and. You're talking about Sasuke-kun, right? Mrs. Haruno said knowing. Get out of my head, she complained. Mrs. Haruno smiled warmly. Well, you certainly have a hard time hiding the fact that you like him, and if I'm not mistaken, you've already tried talking to him, right? She said. How does she do that? Sakura mentally asked herself. Well, yeah, but, she continued. Boo! Mrs. Haruno irked. Sakura blushed again, covering her cheeks with her hands, but, there's someone else, that I don't how I really. I mean, I like the way she stammered on, before she found herself in a fit of girlish giggles. Mrs. Haruno grinned. Wow. It sounds like you may like this one more than Sasuke-kun, Sakura, she stated. Sakura poked her fingers together. Again, I don't know which one I like more, Mom, she said, with utter uncertainty. Oh, well, can you at least tell me about this other boy? Mrs. Haruno asked, while lacing her fingers together. Sakura's heart began to thump at the very thought of her other crush. She clutched her hand onto her chest and took deep breaths to steady herself. Seeing all of this, Mrs. Haruno found herself growing surprisingly excited as to who could get her daughter so wired up. Where do I begin? Well, for starters, he's funny. And for some reason, He's the only other student at the academy who talks to me as much as Ino-chan does, maybe even more, Sakura said with a smile that never left her face. Mrs. Haruno leaned back in her seat. Oh, my. That's quite a surprise, she said sincerely. Whenever we're at recess, he would come and talk to me. He'd always have this irresolute smile on his face, and every time I see it, I feel so happy. It's like someone actually wakes up every day to see me. He makes me feel like the most important person in the world, Sakura continued, before she fell silent to catch up with herself. Mrs. Haruno waited patiently, while her smile became more and more content, until she saw Sakura's face fall a bit. But, whenever I see him with the other kids, they what, honey? Sakura lowered her hand to the table. They beat him up, she said with a slightly wavering voice. What? Why? Sakura shook her head. I don't know. I've seen him since day one at the academy, and I've never seen him do anything to those kids, ever. They make fun of him, they shun him from any group that he would want to be a part of, they're all just so horrible to him. They kick dirt in his face, they throw things at him, they call him names. She began to tear up at her thoughts of what the kids do to him almost every day. Mrs. Haruno crossed her arms. Why do you think the kids hate this boy so much? She asked, with her face saddening at hearing how cruel kids can be to one another. Sakura's tears finally fell down her face. I don't know. He's the nicest person I've ever met. He didn't do anything and they treat him like dirt. Why? I'm sure if they had just took the time to actually talk to Naruto, then they would all make a good friend, like I, she continued before she heard a hand slam down upon the table. Sakura ceased her blathering to look across the table at her mother, who had closed her eyes in a very irritated and somewhat fearful manner. Mom. Sakura, you stay away from that boy, Mrs. Haruno demanded. At first, young Sakura was hurt that her mother would actually tell her to stay away from a boy that she liked. That she really liked. He was so kind and quite possibly the gentlest boy that she had ever met. Nothing like the other ones at the academy. Now, her mother was telling her to stay away from him. The moment that Sakura asked why, Mrs. Haruno scoffed at her, as though she had just asked the most obvious question, in the history of obvious questions. Of course, Sakura's mother quickly hardened her expression and warned her daughter that what she was about to tell her stayed inside the house. At first, Mrs. Haruno hesitated for two reasons. 1. Whether or not she should risk the very possibility of death for telling her young what she was about to say. 2. Whether she should inject her daughter's mind with images of the horror that happened before she was born, but as a mother she felt a strict duty to protect her young from harm of any kind, and to do that, she had to warn her daughter about the demon that she liked. She told her everything, from when Kyuubi attacked, how many people it killed, how it nearly wiped out every living soul in Konoha, and more importantly, how it was still living within a certain blonde boy. She bitterly explained that it was no wonder that the boy is hated by everyone in their village. She said that it was because the demon Kyuubi was not killed, but that it lived inside Naruto, that one day, the boy would be taken over by the demon, and that a monster like him deserved no one. When Sakura had heard about what had befallen their village before she was born, there was no question that she shocked and frightened. She could vividly picture those events in her mind and it scared her. What scared her more, was that the very same monster has become very close to her, and she had no idea. Sakura, promise me that you'll keep that boy away from you. He's nothing but trouble, Mrs. Haruno said. Young Sakura may have been shocked and not just a little angry, but a fresh flood of tears cascaded down her face, as she nodded with agreement. At that moment on, from everything that her mother had told her, Sakura felt nothing short of contempt for the blonde kitsune. And it definitely showed when the day afterwards came rolling by. End flashback out of. At the memories of how badly she had started to treat Naruto when they were kids, Sakura felt warm tears build up in her eyes. It wasn't until earlier today, did she realize how badly she may have fed everything up. It wasn't until earlier today, that she realized that she really did hurt Naruto the way no one else has. It wasn't until earlier today, that she realized what she could have had, is now forever out of reach. To make things even worse, the demon Kyuubi was apparently set free. The name that was roared 12 years ago confirms that. So, what does this mean for Naruto? Naruto, Sakura grimaced with worry and concern. Meanwhile, Orochi, come out. Face me, you cowardly snake. Where are you? Kyuubi roared with vigor. Naruto, who was unfortunate enough to remain latched upon the Yuku's snout, went almost completely deaf because of the unbearable noises that he was subjected to. Of course, thoughts and question arose within his mind, all at the same time. How the hell was Kyuubi summoned? What does this mean for Konoha? And who the F is Orochi? Damn it. To be released from my prison and given a chance to resume a once-in-a-lifetime search, only to be stripped of all knowledge where to begin, Kyuubi raged on. The fox's yelling was too much to take, and not only did Naruto have some questions, but he had an incentive to keep his eardrums intact. Kyuubi, calm down. What are you talking about? Naruto yelled. Hearing that voice again, Kyuubi shifted his angered, bloodshot eyes back down to his snout, where he spotted Naruto again. Are you still here? Take a hike, the fox yelled back, before lifting his whatif hand up to his snout with his middle finger bent back, thumb holding it in place. Naruto looked to his left with just enough time to see the color red, before his entire body was flicked off of Kyuubi's snout. Yards and yards away. However, in a cruel, yet notably comical twist of fate, the moment that Naruto was 5 yards away from Kyuubi, the fox suddenly felt as though his insides were being viciously yanked from his body and towards Naruto's sunction. Unable to fight off this new sensation, Kyuubi was savagely slammed face first to the ground while being dragged across it by some unknown force. Crashing through several trees, boulders, boughs of water, and pretty much everything you'd see in a forest. After crashing his nose against a particularly large boulder, leaving various fault lines and cracks within it afterwards, Kyuubi finally halted. Slowly opening his eyes in silent irritation, Kyuubi spotted Naruto lying right beside him with his back against the wall, eyes swirling and foaming at the mouth because every single bone in his body had been shattered. However, due to Kyuubi's presence, the blonde Genin's bones almost immediately healed. Kyuubi slowly lifted his left frontal leg off of the ground, and slapped his forehead with it. You've got to be kidding. Kyuubi huffed flatly when he saw that Naruto's cursed seal was still present, but with a fiery orange glow, if this means what I think it means. Being the ultra-cunning fox that he was, Kyuubi quickly put the pieces together, and he did not like the answers he was getting. Alas, that was his ultimate fate. Kyuubi bitterly thought why the Yondaime had to be so smart. Without denying his inescapable fate, Kyuubi placed his large whatif hand upon the huge boulder and pushed it back, miles away, before lifting himself up and plummeting his ass to the ground, staring at Naruto with a tired expression on his face. In an instant, Naruto shot to his feet and screamed bloody jerking his head from left to right, trying to grasp his surroundings through his crazed state of mind. Seeing this, Kyuubi shook his head and cleared his tea to gain Naruto's attention, which it did, being that the bear was so damn loud. Naruto shot his gaze upward, and screamed with fury. What the hell is your problem, fox? Naruto yelled. Kyuubi raised one brow as he stared at the blonde. Let me think. It could be the annoying 3-inch cricket chirping his intolerable nonsense. Yeah, that just about sums it all up, he said with sarcasm deepening from his voice. Naruto's expression changed to that of a slightly blown away one at Kyuubi's change in attitude. Well, what the hell got you in a good mood? Naruto asked with equal sarcasm. Kyuubi scoffed, stow the attitude, kid. We have problem, here, he snapped back. A problem? Naruto scratched his head, what kind of problem? The demon fox lifted his whatif hand and scratched his own head. Well, technically, I have the problem, seeing as how I'm better than you and your life really serves no major purpose, he said. Naruto frowned, oh, go to hell. So, what are you talking about? Why were you so damn pissed? Who the hell is Orochi? Kyuubi's ears perked up, where, he shouted looking around frantically, before shooting his head down toward the blonde Genin. Oh. You were asking me a question. Hi, Naruto said as though it were the most obvious thing in the world. Kyuubi growled, causing the ground to vibrate, Yamada no Orochi. He who has awakened me from my slumber of 1,000 years, and is ultimately the cause of my imprisonment, the red fox explained grudgingly. Naruto shifted his boss direction towards Kyuubi, as he was now full attentive. Whoa. 1,000 years. You must have went on a 2-month hike to be that tired, Naruto commented. Kyuubi scoffed again. Well, actually it was a tournament, he replied. Deeper in the forest, Ero-san and Jiraiya was watching Kyuubi from afar and was genuinely surprised. What? is going on? Kyubi, the very same demon that attacked Konoha, is in clear plain sight, yet he isn't attacking it. More importantly, Naruto is still alive, but how? How is this even possible? The boy should have been long ago, Jiraiya said to himself. All of that was confusing enough for the frog hermit, yes, but the fact that it looked as though Kyubi were actually talking to Naruto just made things downright unbelievable. Still, Jiraiya shut his yap trap and listened. A tournament. What kind of tournament? Naruto asked, glowing with curiosity. Not receiving an answer right away, Naruto looked up to see Kyubi's line of sight trailing a flock of birds flying in a triangular formation. In a flash of a carnivore moment, the nine-tailed beast snapped his head forward and clamped his jaw upon the entire flock, crunching down on his helpless prey with ravenous intent. Naruto cringed at the sickening crunching noises that he heard. Kyubi swallowed his small meal with a loud gulp and licked his lips with his salivated tongue, before looking down at Naruto with an absent-minded look on his face. Oh, I'm sorry, what was your question? The demon fox said. Naruto's face twitched. Yeah, very funny, fox, he said. Kyubi picked his teeth with his claws. Hey, I haven't eaten anything eatable in 12 years, Kit. Do you have any idea how absolutely torturous it is to have nothing but your deatlay ramen as my only sustenance? How can you even stand eating that slop, Kit, he gsaid, while grimacing at the taste of the food that has kept him alive for over a decade? Okay, first of all, never out the words ramen and slop in the same sentence ever again. Second, ooh, oh great, no, ya made me forget what I was talking about, Naruto shouted, throwing his arms together in a crossed fashion. Kyubi scoffed again, probably wasn't that important anyway. So, Kit, I have a question for you, he said. Naruto didn't reply. Taking that as a yes, the nine-tailed fox continued, why do you not run away from me? He asked. Naruto looked up at the demon with a confused look on his face. Sensing this, Kyubi sighed. I really hate repeating myself, Kit, he said irritably. Taking only a couple of seconds to remember what he had heard, Naruto smiled. I guess well, actually, I just don't feel threatened, he simplified. Kyubi raised a brow. Really? And just what the hell, twitch, is that supposed to mean? He said through a head twitch. No offense, or anything, but you're just not that dangerous to me. I don't know why. I really don't, but I don't think you'd actually hurt me, Naruto said with every bit of sincerity that he had in his voice. Kyubi huffed a growl. Lucky for you, Kit. I can't, he bitterly conceded. What? Oh, don't look so bewildered. Or didn't you notice that your seal is still in affect, Kyubi mentioned, while pointing his claw towards the sealed mark. Naruto looked down and saw the seal in question. Wait, so that means that you're still. Give the boy a giant slab of blood-saturated meat. He figured it out, Kyubi said with his voice deepening with his usual sarcasm. Naruto's face grimaced at that statement. That's disgusting, he said. Harumph. Nevertheless, I can't allow you to because we are still connected, Kit. If you Kyubi said. Yeah, I got that part already, but that doesn't explain how I was able to summon you, Naruto said, leaning the conversation to a different direction. Actually I was pondering the same concept. But I figured that it had something to do with the wound you suffered earlier, Kyubi explained. Naruto had an instant flashback of the unimaginable pain that shot through his being at that dreadful moment and cringed. Well, okay, but I still don't understand what that has to do with it, Naruto said. Kyubi slowly looked down at the boy and stared at him with a blank face for a while. Quote. You know what? I don't even know why I'm surprised. You've always been this stupid, Kyubi insulted. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.